since I'm not great at body painting, or any of the processes, I'm going to have to ask you for some help on this. I'm going to fight my way through it, but maybe somebody else can get some help in the comments. What sort of processes do you like? Painting then trimming, trimming then painting? What paints do you like? And most importantly, what tools help you get the job done right? While I do love this VRD Carbon, I think it's about time to swap out this Sendero body for something a little more svelte. This body is served very well, but for something that's essentially a comp rig, it's very large, it's boxy, and I've cut it up. The next thing that I would need to do is like a dovetail on the front, and honestly, I don't want to get into that because of the way that the grill is, and it's an extended cab, which isn't exactly what I would want to go for on this particular rig. Nothing wrong with extended cabs, or yeah, that would be an extended cab. So I've got this body that I got off of, I don't know, Alibaba or something. I was ordering some other stuff and it's like, hey, you may want one of these. And although I hate to say it, it got me in the moment of the purchase. So the first thing we need to do is trim it up. We've got to trim this guy up, and I'm probably going to go with something about right there. That's actually going to line up fairly well for the existing body mount, and I can always flip that body mount around on the rear. As you can see, I can always flip that guy around, or flip the entire thing, put the bolt through the other side, and it'll give me some wiggle room. Or even right here, I could move it backwards a little bit, and it also pivots, which is it's kind of fun. And I think if I move it to a different position, it'll pivot even more. I don't even know where this is from. I want to say this is from a different portion of the rig. At any rate, I'm getting off track here. The first thing I need to do is cut this up and also make sure it's the right width. It does look like it's the right width, although the stock sliders could potentially be exposed. We'll deal with that when I get to it. It's going to be close. They may be ever so slightly exposed. No, actually, yeah. Well, we'll see. So I've got these Traxxas body shears. These are made in Taiwan, really good quality ones. So I'm just going to start by following the body lines all the way around here until I get to the rear, and then I'm not going to cut this section out yet. I'm just going to go all the way across. And it would be nice to have some straight shears for this, but I also need curved shears for a lot of the sections. And it also looks like our body mask is on the inside, and it's also tearing out for some reason. But I'm going to do both an interior and exterior paint job on this, so that's really not much of a concern. Now I'm going to give myself a few relief points on here, so as I make the cuts, that it'll break off in smaller sections, just kind of easier to deal with. I don't want to go too close, but I definitely want to give myself some points to make this easier. There we go. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I don't know if I am going to keep the fenders or not. I guess we'll find out. First, I'll see how it does, just with the stock shape, if you will. This thing is pretty thin. To tell you the truth, it was a cheap body. It looks like it got crushed in shipping a little bit. Not a surprise. All right, that's probably good on that side. Give her a relief on the corner. Really, in these curved edges, the curved corners, it's a nice thing to have these relief cuts, so it'll fall away and not tear. There we go, and I should probably go up this edge too. All right. If there's anything that I have learned over the years, it's that we start with the curve away from where we want to cut. That way it doesn't get itself into some trouble sections. So there we go, a little bit of this. And now we start. Bodies are one of the areas where I'm just really not good at it because I don't do it much, and the hyperscale aspect has never been my focus. I honestly, I mean, I focus on electronics, and because of that, I don't even clean up my wiring, which, you know, look back at the last video where I'm asking for help. How do you clean up your wiring? But bodies have been kind of the same thing, where I will paint a body up poorly, and then I'll use it on so many different rigs because I just don't want to do it again. You can see how this kind of opened up as I was cutting. It's just a little thing that I picked up along the way that maybe you do that, maybe you don't. One thing that I do try to be careful of is not keeping my scissors at an angle when I cut because it makes it really sharp. I try to keep them at a 90 degree from the actual body panel. Whether or not I'm successful at that is another story, but that's what I try to do. So far, so good. I haven't made any gross mistakes, but even if I did, whatever. We'll roll with it. Now, my plan on this body is to do an interior paint job with some silver, some hammered silver. Krylon Fusion, actually, has been my choice, and as much as I do love all the fantastic colors and options that Tamiya paints give, I also don't have a hobby shop around me anymore, and I'm really not into ordering my paints online. And I paint almost everything black. Everything that I paint is black. So the black Krylon Fusion sticks excellently to Lexan. Really, really good job. So I'll do the silver on the inside and like a black on the outside. Or I picked up some purple, and we'll see. I'll do a little test section on one of these with the purple and see if it's a color that I like. Because, you know, obviously I do sort of like purple. It's a nice color. It is the color of royalty. Or at least it used to be. Anybody can get purple dye these days. But back in, not even my day, back in the olden days, purple dye was extremely rare. I don't know why it was rare. Alright, we got a little hard corner here. There we go. I've had these body shears for 25 years now. It's amazing what a good quality set of tools can do and how long they can last. Alright. It's kind of hard to see some of these lines because the body's thin. And these lights are kind of difficult as well. Kind of difficult to see. There's so many lights bouncing around. Oh, back into some thinner sections. So I do notice that it's a lot thinner back here than it is up here. And I'm guessing that's because of the depth of their mold. So this will be molded out of just one particular sheet. And the areas that it gets stretched more, which is going to be out here. Ooh, there's a wrinkle in this. Like I said, it's cheap. It's cheap from the... Yeah, there's a wrinkle on both sides, actually. Whatever. That's what you get with cheap bodies, but I don't know if there are any name brands that are producing something like this. Maybe there are. Y'all are going to have to let me know in the comments about who is producing what bodies. Yeah, you know, for a comp rig, lightweight is good, but lightweight also means easy to destroy. So, gonna have to be careful on this one. Doubly so, because the way that I'm mounting it on the back is going to probably be where it breaks. And there's not... Maybe I can double up, use some Shugu or some EC 2000 or 6000 or whatever that stuff is. I can use that. Come on, I didn't cut that corner out. I can use some of that to double it up, put another piece in there. Even I could 3D print something at this point. I would want to 3D print out of a material that the glue sticks to, though. So that means probably no PETG, which is mostly what I print from. Although there are some new formulations, evidently, that glue will stick to. But otherwise, I would use like a PLA Plus, I suppose. Here we go. The basic trimmings have been trimmed. And just a couple spots where I strayed from the line. Clean that up real quick. Otherwise, good pair of scissors and not a perfect trimming chop. Yeah, not perfect. Can always go in with an X-Acto knife or even sandpaper. There we go. I don't know if y'all can see, but on the thinner sections, these are still so sharp that I was able to just glide across it and not even use the scissoring action. Or scissoring. Yeah, a little sandpaper on these corners probably be a good idea. Yeah, there's a couple of overcuts. But once it's painted up, probably won't see those. I'm going to destroy this body so quickly anyways. But I'll clean up a few of these. There's a few little sharp edges here. Yow! Good way to cut yourself. Be careful on these. There we go. Let's see. Ooh. Yeah, I may have to take a little sandpaper to some of these just to make sure I don't cut myself long term. There we go. All right, I think that's good enough. So let's see how it looks with the basic trim. Does it fit? It does not fit in any of these areas. It does actually cover our sliders. So that's nice. Let's see where this would line up. That's pretty good, honestly. I think what I would want to do is have this line up right behind this bumper or right there. One of the two. And if we look at how it lines up with the sliders, that's about right. It's very tall though. I may end up, I don't want to cut those doors down though. But I mean, just as compared to this guy, it's a little taller cab. And that's going to get hammered pretty hard. It's not going to sit this tall, of course, but let's look at this. Because the other body, I had it sectioned in the rear. I'll just show you. As a matter of fact, I should probably get these electronics out of the way for the moment. So I'll just shove them in there. On the other body, you can see how I sectioned it to clear the rails. Probably going to have to do that on this body, which is going to give it a point where it's wanting to break. That's going to want to peel out. Not like a fun sort of peeling out, but the not so fun peeling out. But honestly, I mean, is it really the same length? Because it seems like, no, that this was a longer cab, but it was hanging over really far. So we're going to be going back quite a bit. But the nose of this is shorter. Right there it lines up. Then our wheel wells do actually line up pretty good too. So that's going to put us inside this front bumper, which it's getting eaten up. It's plastic. It's, you know, that's whatever. Now, how does that line up our body mounts? I can always move these front body mounts, and since it's clear, it's going to be a little easier. However, I just want to make sure. Okay. What I'm going to do is section this out, you know, and I guess I can measure this, or I can just make a cut and a mark. And one of those, not the most accurate method, but probably accurate enough for this. You know, we're at horseshoes and hand grenades for this. So the width that I need is the rail, and that looks like 1/8 of an inch. That is also probably the width of this. Yes, indeed. So again, I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to put this right there, and I'm going to cut down both sides. Before I get any further, I should probably ream out holes at the end of this. That way there won't be any sharp corners, and it hopefully won't propagate any problems or stress fractures. The question is, where did I hide my body reamer from myself, because I don't use it very often. I've had this reamer also for about 25 years. Yeah, I'll have to find where I went with it. I've actually got 2 body reamers because I lost my old blue Duratrax or whatever for a while. And then, yeah. All right, so in the meantime, what I will do is I'm going to cut up both of these. It's not up here, is it? No. All right. I'm going to just cut up both of these as I peer around and make sure I don't have it hiding somewhere. I'm not going to go all the way up, but I'm going to cut them up, and we'll just see if that is the proper depth. There we go. Hey, would you look at that? Also, would you look at this battery in the way? Just look at it. We're gonna take this out for now. It needs to be just a hair wider. What color hair, you may ask? I think we all know the answer to that. A red hair. Yuck, 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 yuck. Leave your comments down below. I don't want to make that joke. That's a good one. All right, there we go. All right. Hey, that's just about right. That is on the sliders. Not completely, and I guess I could cut these sliders as well. But that's right, the right depth. That will give us a nice area for mounting. You can see where this lines up in the back. I'll just flip it around probably, or I'll move that hole to the interior hole down there, and that should be just about right. But it lines up relatively well with our suspension. I don't think we'll be hitting those fenders. And then I can do something like a 3D printed bed on the back, which could also function as part of the mount for the body itself. There we go. Well, what I'm gonna need to do next is, of course, get the holes reamed. I'm gonna need to finish this back, so I need to find my body reamer one way or another. Then what I'm gonna do to clean this body, because it's been sitting around, is I will take it to the sink and we will give it a nice soapy bath wash. Just some dish soap and water, and then a lint-free cloth to dry it off. And this one does have the stuff on the inside, but I would like my windows to potentially be clear. So I guess I'm gonna rip that out, and then I'll use some blue tape and I'll mask the inside of the windows and the outside of the windows. We'll do silver on the inside, and then we'll do black or purple, or maybe black and purple on the outside. I don't know, do the majority of it one color and then maybe do some highlights elsewhere. And I'm not sure if I want to do all that on video because it's kind of a boring process, but this is at least where you start, or where I like to start. Maybe y'all like to paint before you do the trimming. Let me know in the comments. I've got my next steps cut out for me, and we're gonna have something that looks a little bit different the next time I take her out. So there you go. As always, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.